networking environment. So as we have already developed different kinds of networking applications, but those networking applications are legacy applications. So as we only develop the kinds of applications which are specific to using the protocol called TCP/IP. And the direct usage of the TCP/IP protocol we are using in our application. Okay, so upon from this layer, so TCP/IP, so we will be having application layer. So as we are doing the applications in the layer called application layer, which can be used for, which in turn uses the protocol called TCP/IP here. Okay, so under this application layer, so we have a specified specified networking application available in the JVM, that is called as remote method invocation. So which is having a specific purpose, which will be running in the application layer, which in turn uses the TCP/IP. So we can make use of this remote method invocation to do the various kinds of applications in such a way that in this RMI, so generally we can have the facility of calling the method from remote object. Okay, so please anyone has know the syntax of how to call a method from the object?
Object name dot method name.
Okay, very good. Object name dot method name. So this is a syntax for calling the method. But the thing is here, this object, whatever you are using in our program, that is existed in our system only. Am I right? So the object which we are using available and running in the system, in our system where our application is running. So this is called as here local system. So all the objects that we are using to make method calls, those are running in the same JVM where we are developing the application here. Okay, but the thing is here, now there is a possibility that this object may be existed in different system, which is not which is not the system where we are developing the application. Okay, then that object is called as here remote object. So remote object is a kind of object which can be run in different system, or which can run remotely in the network. Okay, so from this remote object, if you make a method call, then that concept is called as here remote method invocation. Okay. Normal local method invocation, nothing but here the object which we are using to make use of the method calls running in the same JVM, but remote object is nothing but the object which we are using in the application to make the method calls running in different JVM. Okay, so here. So I can give a simple diagrammatical representation. So so we have one system running with one JVM and another system running with another JVM here, and ensure that these two systems are connected together using a backbone network using TCP/IP or whatever it may be. Okay, so here I am developing one application here, and in this system already the object is available and act like a remote object. Act like a remote object here. Okay. Then the concept is this object use a syntax of object name dot method name to call the method. This object is available in this remote object which is there, which is running in another JVM. Okay, this scenario is called as here RMI. Calling the method of an object which is running in another JVM in our program is called as here remote method invocation. Okay, so to facilitate this scenario in our application, so we need to have some sort of components required. Okay, the main component is here network. Ensure that the system where the system where we are in which we are developing the application and the system in which remote objects are available, both these systems must be connected together using a backbone network with protocol suite like TCP/IP. Okay, and then along with this, we'll require different kinds of components with respect to the RMI to be effectively running in our application. So that will be discussed in the RMI architecture, and we'll see a simple example of how to develop RMI application. So this is a simple concept here. See this. So generally, RMI is based on the concept called remote procedure calls. In older days, the concept is called as remote procedure calls. The RMI will be having the basis on the remote procedure calls only. So introduced in 1984. So this is a simple architecture for RPC, not RMI. So this is the architecture for RPC, remote procedure call. So we have a client application, as we already developed some sort of stuff in there in the client application. And we have server application. So all remote objects are available in the server process. Okay, and the application which calls the methods from the remote object, okay, is called as a client. Okay, so from the client, we'll be having one component called the client stub in the network, and from the server, with respect to the server, we'll be having a server stub, and we have a backbone network here. Okay, so to transport the message related to the RMI, so we'll be having backbone network is there. But in older days, so both these systems are and both these clients and servers are running the same system, so that internally they are using kernel based RPCs here. Okay, see this. So generally used for distributed systems. So to design the distributed systems in Java, so we need to use a remote method invocation. Okay. Okay. So object-oriented way of RPC we can use in Java. Okay. So objects can be passed as both parameters and return values, as usually how we are using to call local methods. Okay. But requirement is we need to have a network. Okay. So this is a simple architecture for RMI. So the first step is here the client and server object. The client object nothing but which is having invocation statement of the method from the remote object. Okay, so invocation statement should be there in the client in the program, that is called as here the client object. Okay. And so we need to generate two different kinds of files with respect to the client and server application. So those files are called as the stub files and skeleton files. The stub files and skeleton files will perform the operations like marshalling and unmarshalling. marshalling and unmarshalling. So this operation is called as here. So generally, whenever method is invoked, so then we need to send the arguments, or after execution of the method, it will return the values also. Okay, so those kind of information so will be passed over to the network. Okay, so for requirement of passing the objects or passing the parameters or the return values through the network, so we need to convert into bytes. Okay, so all parameters and method name and return values. So these are the components of methods. Okay, so as you know, so parameters, method name, and return values. So all these three different components we need to pass to the server object. Okay, so to know what kind of parameters has been, what kind of remote method is invoked, and from this for this method, what are the different parameters used, and what kind of return values has to be passed. So this information has to be transported from the client object to the server object. Okay, so but through the network, so these information has to be converted into the bytes. This will be done by a stub and as well as skeleton. Okay, so converting the parameters and method name return values into the bytes called marshalling. And there will be having a reverse operation also be there at the server. Okay, so byte the information converted into this kind of parameters, method name, return value. So this is called as reverse operation and marshalling. So this marshalling operation, unmarshalling operations will be done by both the stub and as well as skeleton. Okay, so the marshalling will be done from the client information to remaining network layers, and from the this is called marshalling. And from the network to the server object, so we will do unmarshalling here. Okay, and after execution of the remote method, so then it will get a value, and that value again converted into the bytes information and transported over to the rest of the network. So this is called as here again marshalling. Okay, so after receiving the information over the network, so again it has to be converted, the return value has to be converted into the relevant information which is understandable by the client. So this is called as unmarshalling. Okay, so that here this marshalling and unmarshalling will be done by both the components stub and as well as skeleton. Okay, so that it will act like an interface between a mediator operation between the client, between the RMI components and to the rest of the network here. Okay, and then another component is called as remote reference layer. So this remote reference layer so will do the semantic operations of the RMI here. And the semantic operation, the semantic operation nothing but here. So generally they will be having several kind of remote objects in the network. Okay, so all remote objects will be managed by the remote reference layer. Okay, so once a specific method call is happened from the client object, so then so this reference layer, the remote reference layer, so will determine what kind of object or what kind of method is invoked and what kind of object has to be used. Whether it is valid or not, so all these checkings will be done at the remote reference layer. Okay, so this remote after verifying all these details, once it is valid, so then it will be transported over the backbone network that is called as TCP/IP and hardware layer, and from this physical media, so our remote method invocation information will be passed over to the server. server mission, and from the server mission, so this byte oriented information will be converted and transported over the backbone network, and then to the remote reference layer, and this remote reference layer validation has been completed. So then it will be converted into the representation which is understandable by the server object, so by the skeleton, and then the server object receives the information of the remote method, and the execution happens here. Once execution happens, so then that result will be again converted into the bytes, which is called as marshalling operation, and then it will be passed over to the remote reference layer and the backbone network layer, and then converted into the signals and transported over the physical layer, and then this information will be received. The return value will be received by the client, and from this again the information transported, the return value transported in byte information in over the network, and then the stub is received. The stub will do unmarshalling operation. Unmarshalling operations, they get exact representation which can be understood by the client object, and then received to the client program. So once that information is received, so then that will be processed in our program here. So this much stuff is done in our RMI here. Okay. So this complete components is network related components with respect to RMI here. And RMI components are stub, skeleton, and our client object and our server object here. Okay. So this is a simple architecture to be maintained in the network. So for doing RMI applications in our Java here. So here, as we have already specified the responsibilities of stubs and skeletons and remote reference layer, and as well as transport layer, we already discussed about these components in the architecture. Okay. And we'll see how the application has to be implemented using RMI here. Okay. So the first point is here. So we need to have several programs we need to implement. Okay. So the those applications are here. One interface file we have to implement, and server object which consists of implementation of remote object, and then client object. So these three components we need to develop. Okay. So we'll see the interface. Okay. So can anyone mute yourself and tell me what exactly the interface and what the interface contains?
Unimplemented methods, sir.
Very good. Unimplemented methods. Okay. So nothing but all methods are in the form of abstract. So like this, we have to implement one interface file. Okay. As I have already implemented one interface file here, you please see this interface file. Okay. So public interface, keyboard interface has to be used, and the name of the interface timed. But this interface must extend from another interface that is called as remote. And this remote is available in the package called java.net package. Java.net package. Sorry, java.rmi package. Okay, so our interface must act like a remote interface. To do this, we must extend from a remote interface. Okay, and this remote interface consists of the methods which can be invoked remotely by clients. Suppose if we want to develop, if we want to publish two or three different kinds of remote methods, if we want to specify, so then all these list of methods we can specify here inside the interface. Now I am only publishing, so only one method, that is called as get time method. I want to publish over the network as a RMI. Okay, so that I specify the name of the method and return type is a string, and this must throws a remote exception. All remote methods must throws remote exception here. Okay, so this is the method called remote method. Remote method here. Okay. So this is one file. So can you tell me what is the file name here? What is the file name for this program or for this interface program? What is the file name for this program?
Time.
Okay, time.java. Okay, time.java. Okay. And then this is the interface file. Time.java is an interface file. Okay, see this. Okay. This is a server file. This is a server file here. Timed implementation.java. So this server file first consists of remote method implementations. As we have already given skeleton of how the remote method should be. So this is a skeleton of how remote method should be. Here in this program, so once skeleton has been done, so then we need to implement the definition for the skeleton, which is the remote method here. Okay. So here inside this, so we need to import some sort of packages here, util package, RMI package, and RMI.server package. So these three packages we need to require. So class name timed implementation extends must extends the class called remote method unicast remote object here. Unicast remote object, so which acts like a server, remote server. Once our class extends from unicast remote object, so then our class acts like a remote object here. Remote object. So unicast nothing but a single. Okay, so it accepts, our server accepts only one client's connection, only one client's connection. Multiple connections cannot be accepted from this server because it is a unicast remote object. We'll be having other kind of remote object also be there. So there is we don't discuss about that second object here. So we will discuss only the unicast remote object only. And after extending this unicast remote object, and then implements, we have to implement our interface file also, which is interface file here. Timed is an interface file. Okay, so this class must extend from unicast remote object and must implement timed object here. So as we already know, so once this class implements interface, so then all the methods inside the timed, we must implement the definition properly. Okay, so this is the definition for get time method, which is there in the interface file. Okay, get time. So as it is signature, we have to copy public string get time throws remote exception. So this signature must be copied as it is, which is there in the interface file. Okay, and this is the definition. Very simple definition: return new date dot toString. That's all. Okay, so we don't do any complex operation here. We just return new date dot toString here. This is the definition. Okay, so, and then simply a main method. Inside the main method, first step is we have to set the security manager. Set security manager of new RMI security manager. So as networks, outside networks running with what is that? The main method firewall. Okay, so if the network running with a firewall, okay, then our RMI don't be accepted. RMI application don't be accepted. Okay, so we need to give the, so we make the firewall to accept to run the RMI program. So we must give the proper object, security manager object that will be supplied to the firewall. So this security manager is RMI security manager. So once we create the object, so then automatically it will be, JVM will send this security manager object to the firewall. So then the firewall accepted our program to run our network. Okay, so that is the first step here. System dot set security manager of new RMI security manager. We have to add it to the system, and then we have to create the object for implementation. For implementation object, for implementation classes, timed implementation object equal to new timed implementation. Okay, this is the first step. Sorry, this is the first step, and this is the second step, and this is the third step. And the fourth step is very important. The fourth step is we have to bind our object. This is a remote object. Okay, this is a remote object. So this for this remote object, we have to give unique network specific name. Unique network specific name which can be identified by clients in the network. Okay. So this object is program specific name. Am I right? Program specific name. But for this program specific name cannot be understood by the clients. Okay, so we must supply as like for security reasons also. So once the object came to the network, so then it may be corrupted in the network. So by intruders. Okay, so that so instead of giving the program specific name outside to the network, so then we have to give one specific network specific name that is called as here time server. Okay, so for giving the network specific names, we have to bind. So for binding, so use naming dot rebind. Naming dot rebind of name of the server, name of the server, sorry, remote object, and program specific name. Okay. So once this can be done, so then this object will become will assign a specific name that is called time server, which will be available to the clients. Okay. So whenever the clients wants to get the services of timed implementation, so the clients has to use time server name here. Okay. So this is a server implementation stuff. Okay, with 4 steps. First step, implementation of the remote methods. Second step, security manager. Third step, object creation of the server, and the fourth step is binding the remote object with network specific name. So these 4 steps we have to done mandatorily in the server application. Now see the client application. Here the client application will be very useful. Okay, so just use RMI package, and in this we have to create the object from the timed, so which is an interface here, which is interface timed object equal to naming dot lookup. So in the server, so we have to use naming dot rebind to give the name. At the client side, so it has to look up with the name time server. With the name time server. Okay, so look up nothing but the client will search over network with the name time server. Then the network will provide implementation object. Will provide the implementation object. This is the network. To provide the implementation object, then this implementation object will store into timed object, okay, which is an interface file. Okay. Then once the timed object got into the client, so then using the remote method, so object dot get time. So this step is remote method invocation. Okay. So the remote method invocation syntax and local method invocation syntax also same. Okay, as you already told, so for calling the methods, we have to use object name dot method name. Here also I am using to call the remote method object name dot get time. Okay, but so background so much stuff is going to be happen here to make the method call like this. Then we will get the return value, and the return value is stored into the current time, and this current time will be displayed here. Okay, the point is here. So with the object orientation concept, the remote method invocation will be done very perfectly, because here the point is, so I will tell you one by one. The point is, you please respond with the answers you know. Students, can you tell naming dot lookup method will return what kind of object? Students, can you tell naming dot lookup method will return what? Just tell me the name of the object. Name of the object returned by naming dot lookup. Students, please unmute yourself or tell me naming dot lookup returns what kind of object here. Just tell me.
OBJ.
OBJ is an object.
Timed class.
No. See time implementation.java, where we created object.
Interface.
And you see this program timed implementation.java as I already shown to you. And please see this timed implementation.java. So there, from where object has OBJ has came. How OBJ has been created in the program?
Interface.
No. A program has been displayed. You please see this, and where OBJ has been created.
In the timed impl class.
Yeah.
Timed impl class.
Please repeat.
Timed impl class.
Very good. Okay. So object came from timed implementation class. Okay. So this will be written by naming dot lookup. Observe the point here. But the timed implementation class we are storing into timed class. Is it possible or not? If it is possible, what is the reason for this possibility? You already told naming dot lookup returns a timed implementation, but the timed implementation object we are storing into the timed object. Is it possible or not?
Sir, as timed contains unimplemented interface, so here we are defining it, sir.
Then okay. So how the timed implementation? So what is the reason of timed implementation gives the implementation for the remote methods? As per object-oriented programming.
As it extends unicast remote object.
No. Why timed implementation class provides a definition for remote methods? Provides a definition for the methods.
Because it is implementing the timed interface.
Very good. So because timed implementation class implements a timed class which consists of the remote methods. So that the timed implementation is having the responsibility of providing the definition of all the methods which is there in the timed class. Okay. So that can I tell timed implementation is a superclass for timed. Sorry. Timer is a superclass for timed implementation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Timer is a superclass. So timed implementation, can I say it is a subclass?
Yes, sir.
So once there is this kind of relationship, is it right to store timed implementation object into timer object?
No, sir. You can store the timer object into timed implementation.
Reverse చెప్తున్నారు. All subclass objects. Okay, the point is here, very important point. I am writing here also. Okay, all subclass objects as per OOP concept. All subclass objects are stored into superclass reference. Superclass reference. This is the statement. Okay. So with this statement, so this instruction is right. Okay. So as you already told, naming.lookup returns what kind of object? Timed implementation object. So the timed implementation object is a subclass for timer. So that this is subclass object stored into superclass. Okay. So here returns a subclass but stored into superclass. Okay. So with this relationship, we can import or we can use that facility of object-oriented programming to make RMI works perfectly. Okay. So you please observe the point here. In the client mission, what kind of class needs to have timed class? Am I right? At the client mission, so it has timed.java, so that this timed statement is right. Okay. So can anyone tell me timed.java even client mission holds? Okay. So is it possible to get the implementation? Is it possible to get the implementation for time.java by the client application? Is it possible to get a complete information or complete implementation code using time.java inside the client mission? Implementation code, nothing but this one. This is the implementation code for the get time, which is a remote method code. Okay, so is it possible to get this definition? Can see this definition by the time.java, timed client.java?
No, sir.
No. Oh, no. Okay. So ఎందుకంటే దీని దగ్గరే ఉంది only timed.java. So the client mission holds only timed.java, which is abstract methods, which is unimplementation code for all remote methods. Okay. JVM returns implementation code, okay, but cannot be understood by the client, and it will be written as a subclass and stored into the superclass reference variable. Okay, so that using RMI supports complete security, provides complete security to both client and server also. Okay, so it is nothing too dangerous when we are using RMI concept at anywhere in the network. Okay, so because no harm to be done and no harm to nothing will be happen, nothing will be dangerous to the system or to the applications whenever we are using RMI over the network here. Okay, so because of this particular statement only, timed, I mean subclass into subclass stored into the superclass reference variable. So with this particular concept here, RMI provides complete security. Nothing will be dangerous to the system here. Okay. So this is the implementation for the client, server, and then interface file. Okay. So with these three files, I can give the demonstration of how to execute in the system. So we'll be having some steps again to execution also. We'll see later in the next class execution of RMI program. Okay. 1 minute. I just close